Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Nick, and today we're doing another action figure review. This is the Independence Day Alien Supreme Commander, and this is by Trendmasters. It's from 1996, so this is over 20 years old. And I just want to say right off the bat, look how just incredible and movie accurate this sculpt and paintwork is for a kid's toy available at mass retail from the mid-90s. Compare this to other things that were on the shelves at the time. In fact, things that are on the shelves and targeted towards kids now. This is incredible. This is like NECA, McFarlane level movie accuracy, and it's just amazing. There are some things that probably would have been improved nowadays if this was re-released as an adult collectible, but I think this is just really incredible for the time and really, really holds up. This toy line is actually really, really impressive, and it's amazing that the price on a lot of these collectibles hasn't really gone up that much. These boxed are going for like $20 to $30 on eBay right now, and the old school Toys R Us price tag is still on this packaging, and it was $20 back in the day. So this right now is going for pretty much the same price it did 20 years ago. Now there's a catch with that, and I think this is probably one of the reasons. A lot of these figures that were left boxed, nobody ever took them out to take the batteries out of them, so the batteries corroded and damaged the electronics. That's what happened with this one. I unscrewed the back hatch. The batteries were all like sticky and rusted, and they messed up the little spring node port thing that it would connect to. So the electronics are totally destroyed. Which is a shame, but you still get an incredible sculpt. Now, I wasn't expecting that, so I contacted the seller, and they were actually really, really nice, and they refunded me. So here I have this gorgeous figure that was basically free, which is incredible. But even I think paying what you pay, even if you get one that isn't working, it's still worth it. I mean, this is a huge 12-inch, probably more than 12-inch figure, with lots of posability, detail, etc., that we will go into in just a second. But yeah, the packaging is really nice. So one of the benefits to getting one that is in the packaging is you get this nice package, and you're getting one that's nice and clean. It's not scratched up. Some of the loose ones, they're going to be missing tentacles. They might be missing the little alien that goes inside it. They've obviously been played with by kids. A lot of them played with pretty roughly. But the benefit to getting some of the ones that are loose is, chances are people took the batteries out, exchanged them over the years, so you don't have any of that corrosion. So it's kind of pros and cons to each route. But personally, I would go for the box route because, again, the loose ones are going for about the same price as these ones right now. So, I might as well go for the nice, clean, complete one, but to each their own. And there is fluctuation with the pricing on these. These were going for like $50, $60 when Resurgence came out, and everyone was suddenly into Independence Day again. And then that movie, was really awful. And so I think people stopped caring, and for the past couple of years, the pricing has been really low on all of these. It's been even pretty low on like the carded smaller aliens, which are pretty much the same sculpt as this one, just with some slightly different tweaks to the head and coloring. The humans are very fairly priced. You have the electronic vehicles, a playset that's like a head that splits open into a diorama. Very, very 90s. The human figures are all like jacked up, like wrestlers. So again, like your typical 90s toy line, like Power of the Forest, Jurassic Park. And then like I said about these alien figures, the 6 and 7-inch ones, there's smaller versions of this one, but they all have a slightly different head sculpt. So it's very reminiscent of Trendmasters Godzilla 1998 toy line, where all the baby Godzillas were like the same sculpt with slight variations to them, and different color schemes and gimmicks, but they were all the same base sculpt. They all have like the same right arm, the same left arm. So this is the same thing with these ones. But this one, I think this one, since it's a larger canvas to work on, you have more paint detailing, more detailing in the sculpt. It's just a sharper looking figure. And it's one of those things you might as well go for it, because I think it's about the same price range as the smaller ones. And also, it's the most movie accurate. Really, really cool. There is one that looks just like it, and it is the Alien Attacker pilot. So you can get that. You basically get this in 6-inch version. That's the pilot. This is the Supreme Commander, because he is the largest of them. It definitely has a resemblance to the Queen that you see in Resurgence, because it's it's larger, but still very different. So I mentioned that the electronics weren't working. How the electronics should have worked is you move your hand over this motion sensor here, and the head would split apart and let out a roar. Very cool. I think it would have been neat if the electronic sounds were a little bit more varied, and it said like lines from the movie, like "release me" and that kind of stuff. Because he does have some cool lines in the film, or even just some sound effects that are authentic to the movie. But as far as 90s toy sounds go, from what I've heard, that's a pretty decent sound effect. I've heard it watching the toy commercials for this on YouTube, and watching some other reviewers looking at theirs. But yeah, it's a great display piece. Now, since this is pre-posed in the packaging to being like this, and the electronics are what caused this to open and close, it was fixed like this, so I kind of had to like force it shut. And as you can see, I have like one side of it is nice and centered, like where it's moved in as far as it can, and this one hasn't moved in completely, so I don't know if it's like caught on the lip of like a piece of plastic or something. I'm trying to like force them together. Maybe I'll put something together that will like bind them, but this is as close together as I can get them. I really, really love this creature design. I think it's very scary, very original looking. I'd put it in like the top 5 creature designs for sure, at least top 5 alien designs. The Xenomorph is obviously number 1. I definitely put the Starship Troopers Arachnid in the top 5, and I'd put this alongside them in the top 5, like with the Predator and a lot of other ones. Like, this is definitely very underrated, underappreciated creature design. Really, really fantastic. And I love this. It's almost colored like the space jockey fossil in the first Alien. I love this kind of off-white, beige tan coloring. It's very interesting to look at. It makes him look kind of like a fossil, especially since he's very skeletal and biomechanical. But really cool. I remember actually being disappointed as a kid that these actually weren't the aliens, that these were just suits for them. And the aliens inside are still very cool looking, but they're kind of like your typical, Roswell aliens. They still have their own unique twist on them. So this feature is on the smaller 6-inch ones. There's like a clamp on the back of the head, so you manually open and shut it. This one, it would operate through the electronics or just forcing it open or shut like I am. And it was very difficult to get these little aliens to fit inside the 6-inch ones. So typically the head wouldn't shut the whole way, just like this one. This one, the head is obviously a lot larger, so it's easier to fit this guy in. And this should seal up. As you can see, if it was working properly, it would seal up entirely. So this guy in here, he's translucent. He's got a little bendy wire running through him. Very, very cool. I'm actually not going to take him out because I can't really seem to. He's got one of those wires that fastens things into the packaging wrapped around his waist, and I can't really get to it. I'm gonna need to get in there with some pliers, but I gotta be careful because he's a soft rubber, and I don't want to tear him up at all. I mean, he's just gonna stay in there. They've sculpted like a little chair for him to sit in, as you can see, whereas in the movie he's just kind of sitting in all this flesh. But I really like how they use this nice metallic blue coloring inside the head. Trendmasters really does a good job with their paint. I mean, like I said, this paint job here, it's 100% accurate to the film in regards to the shading and all the coloration, and it's got that nice wet sheen look to it. Just like they did a great job painting the Godzilla 1998 figures, and they have a lot of metallic blues like on their underbelly and the spikes, and again, they're going crazy with that metallic blue in here. Very, very nice. You got some more metallic colorings here accenting the main tannish coloring. But I really like all these areas where black is applied, like on the toes and on the tentacles, and how it kind of fades in and out. It's very gradual. It's a nice fading effect on the top of the head here. Really, really nice. Now these tentacles are removable, and that's why most loose versions of this figure are missing the tentacles. Most people seem to be missing the two critical ones. These ones here are hard plastic, and they are posed so that they are propping up the alien, because obviously he's top heavy. And these other 6 tentacles have bendy wires in them. So you can, the bendy wire is running almost the entire way through. I think it stops maybe like an inch before the end of the tentacle, but you can get them into any pose, and there's variation to the tentacles. 2 of them end in these like prong shapes, and 4 of them end in these very pointed shapes, and then the 2 main ones end with the pointed shapes as well. There's just an incredible amount of detail on him. As far as articulation goes, you just have shoulders that move up and down, hips that swivel in and out. That articulation isn't particularly useful, because again, you kind of have to have the legs in a certain pose to get them to stand right. And you have a waist that swivels side to side. And then, I don't know if you want to count this, and you have all the articulation in 6 of the 8 tentacles, which is just really, really cool. Really nice. But yeah, I mean, it's just a fantastic display piece. So even if you have one that's not working, it just looks nice like this. It looks nice posed like this. It looks nice posed with this open. Just really, really sharp. I mean, the 90s had a lot of fantastic toys. I think the best toy line in the 90s was the Jurassic Park toy lines. But, you know, Starship Troopers is also a standout. Trendmasters, Godzilla, and Independence Day for sure is definitely up there. I would say this is definitely, if I were to make a list of top 10 90s toys, this would definitely be in it. It would be very high on the list. It would probably be in the top 5. So hint, hint, we're probably going to get a countdown video like that in the near future. But I would definitely recommend picking this up. He comes with a little floppy disk. I don't know if you can even use this anymore. So this is like for a game. I think all the toys came with a floppy disk. And then you get a cool little catalog that shows off some toy lines that Trendmasters was working on at the time. They show, I remember the Mars Attacks line, but they show Species on there. And I don't remember them doing Species. I remember McFarlane doing Species. So I wonder if that's maybe something that changed after they released that catalog. You get some instructions, not particularly useful, and then you get kind of like a customer service thing that's like, oh, let us know what you think. So this is before the day and age of Twitter. But yeah, Trendmasters is really cool. I wish that they were around longer. Would have been interesting to see what other kind of movie properties they tackle. Really, really incredible. I think if a company like McFarlane or NECA tackled this, they really wouldn't be able to improve much on the sculpt or the paint job. It's already very, very accurate. But yeah, I mean, it's great. And I like how this is still one of those 90s toys that even though it's very popular, it's very well liked, still very sought after. Thankfully, it's something that enough collectors purchased and held on to that the value of it hasn't really skyrocketed. It has fluctuated. So, you know, like when Resurgence came out, they were going for like $50, $60. Now they're back down to pretty much their original retail price. But yeah, I mean, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye out for a deal. And I would definitely recommend picking it up. Even if you're just a casual fan of the movie or you just like the design, this is a great display piece. So if you haven't already, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys around. Bye.